Alright guys, we're going to be looking at XY charts in the coordinate plane today. Real quick, we're going to do this warm-up. I just want to review the coordinate plane with you. We're looking at a 4-quadrant coordinate plane, and they are numbered counterclockwise. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So +5, +5 would be in quadrant 1. -3, -4, a double negative would be over in quadrant 3. -1, +5 is in 2. 0, 6 is actually on the y-axis. We have 1.5, 4, both of them positive, even though there's decimals. So quadrant 1, 0, 0 is in the origin. +3, -2.5, that is quadrant 4. And the last one, 3, 0, -3, 0, that would be on the x-axis. So just a basic review of the coordinate plane. So here you have the heading. We're going to be looking at graphing linear equations, essential question vocabulary, just like we typically would have done in class. I skipped example 1 to make this a little bit shorter for us, so we're actually going to jump right to graphing. And in order to graph, there's 3 or 4 different ways to graph a linear equation. We're going to start with making an XY chart. Normally when we make XY charts, you want to pick 5 x values. In most cases, the x values we pick are going to be -1, 0, -2, 1, and 2. The reason these are picked are, first of all, we have a variation of positive, negative numbers, and you should always include 0. It usually makes the math pretty easy for you. So now we're going to make our 2-column XY chart. Those are our x values we have listed up here. So now -1, 0, -2, 1, and 2. All you're going to do is basically plug in and see what your answer is. So I'm going to plug -1 into the equation that was given up at the top and see what I get for my y value. So when I plug -1 into this equation, -2 times -1 is +2. I'm going to move the +2 to the other side in order to get the x by itself. So I'm going to add -2 to each side, so y is -5. When I plug 0 into the equation, -2 times 0 is 0, so y is -3. When I plug -2 in, I get +4. Move that +4 to the other side, making it -4, and I get -7. Plug 1 in, I get -2. Add 2 to each side, I get -1. Plug 2 into the equation, I get -4. Add 4 to each side, I get +1. Now that I have my chart completed, these values in the chart are going to become my ordered pairs. So -1, -5, 0, -3, -2, -7, 1, -1, and 2, 1. So now we're actually going to put these on our graph. Over to -1, down to -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would put me right about there. 0, -3, right about there. -2, -7 would be right about there. 1, -1, and 2, 1. Once you have that, you want to connect your dots. Obviously, you would connect a little bit better than I am. It's a little bit challenging to try to use my finger to connect the dots. When you draw your line, though, please extend it past the 5 points that you drew, because technically that line does extend forever. But that's all we're looking at. So you're going to plug the values into the equation to make your chart. Once you have your chart, pull out your ordered pairs, put the ordered pairs on the graph, draw your line, and you're good to go. So here's a similar problem, very close to exactly what we were doing before. So again, we're just going to plug our values here into the equation. And we're going to do that by making a chart to keep ourselves organized. So -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. If I plug -2 into the equation, 2 times -2 is -4. I'm going to add 4 to each side, so I get 6. Plugging -1 in, 2 times -1 is -2. I'm going to add 2 to each side, and I get 4. I'm going to plug 0 in, I get 2. When I plug 1 in, 2 times 1 is 2. Add -2 to each side, I get 0. 2 times 2 is 4. Add -4 to each side, I get -2. You do not technically need to write the list of ordered pairs. You can pull the ordered pairs right from the chart. So -2, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. -1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 2. 1, 0. And 2, -2. Again, I'm a little bit off because I'm trying to use my finger, which is not the easiest thing to use when you're trying to graph. But you can get the good general idea. Here we're going to talk about two special cases, and I don't really have any good way for you to remember this other than to just blanket and memorize it. It's opposite what you think it is. If you see y equaling a number, it's going to make a horizontal line. Anytime y equals a number, you're going to get a horizontal line. So y equals 2 is just a horizontal line on the graph right through y equaling 2. You do not need to make any sort of an xy chart. As soon as you see y equaling a number, you should be able to just straight up graph it. And obviously the opposite of that is going to be x. Here x equals -1. Anytime we see x equaling a number, that's going to give us a vertical line down through that number. So I go to -1, the x value, -1 on the graph, and I just make a vertical line. Again, not a whole lot of work, but it is going to be memorization, and it is opposite what you think, because the x-axis goes horizontal, but x equaling -1 is actually going to be a vertical line. Last piece we need to talk about is slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. This is something big that we're going to be using for the majority of the year. What we're looking at here in these problems is basically I want to get the y by itself. I want to get the y by itself over on the left-hand side of the equal sign and everything else on the other side. So in the first equation, I'm going to come over here to this side so I have a little bit more room. So 3x plus y equals 4. I'm going to add -3x to each side. I cannot add the -3x to the 4. They're not like terms, they can't go together. What I am going to do is bump the -3x in front of the 4, and now I have my problem in slope-intercept form. So this is your final answer. You're basically just rearranging the problem. Number 2 is very similar. I'm actually going to jump to problem 3. Problem 3, make sure you go plus the opposite. I'm going to add -3 to each side. When I do, that leaves me with -2y equaling -3x plus 4. At this point, I still need to get the y by itself, so I'm going to divide by -2. Everything is going to be divided by -2. So my final answer for number 3 is going to be y equals +3 over 2. It is very, very important that you do not make that fraction into a decimal and do not change that fraction into a mixed number. That fraction is actually representing something that we're going to talk about later the week. So 3 over 2x plus 4 divided by -2 is +2, and then this would be our final answer for number 3. I hope this gave you a quick little overview of what we would have been working on. Here's your homework listed. Please try it for me. Down at the bottom, you'll see 10, 11, 12, and 15. Those are the numbers that I want you to put in your XY chart. These are your X values. So for number 10, for example, your chart would be 4, 0, 8, and 12 going down. Okay? If you have any questions, mark them. We will talk about it Monday, but Monday we are going to move on to talking about X and Y intercepts. Thank you very much for listening. Hope it wasn't too boring, and I will see you on Monday.